Hey, welcome to D Time, Season 1, Episode 25, The Honeymoon Phase. And this topic brings up a lot of memories. Again, I've been married 11 years to my beautiful wife, Margarita Jackson, and we hear this term, the honeymoon phase, typically, I think, from what I understand, the first year of marriage. And sometimes when you hear it, that can be a good or bad thing, the honeymoon phase can be seen as a good thing, and then it ends and reality sets in, or it can be seen as a bad thing. I've heard it say that the first year of marriage is typically the most challenging, and so that contradicts kind of like the honeymoon phase type thing. But if you're more knowledgeable in this area, feel free to reach out to us, drop a comment in the comment section. But the honeymoon phase, I think, is very real, whether it's positive or negative. When my wife and I got married, our first year of marriage was pretty awesome. It had its challenges, little challenges here and there, but overall it was great, and we didn't really see like a drop off, um, after the first year. There's a lot of interesting things happen, but things happen even after that. And so I was interested just to get some feedback from another recently married couple, Craig and Keshia Davidson, some very dear friends of ours. We've known them for a while before they even got married or started dating, and we wanted to get their thoughts and advice on this topic. And I'm interested in hear what they have to say. Interested in you guys hearing from them as well. But however you view the first year, the honeymoon phase of your marriage, I think it's pretty safe to say that marriage is a roller coaster. Full of ups and downs, full of highs and lows. Hopefully, mostly, predominantly highs, but things happen, and it's interesting to see. Look for me, my wife and I looking back at our first year, and seeing what has changed and what hasn't changed, or maybe some surprises. But it's an interesting topic. Phil, I want to know your thoughts. For those that are married out there, how was your first year of marriage? What things kind of stood out to you, or if you're about to get married, uh, maybe what are your thoughts on being married in that first year? What do you think it's going to be like? And send us your thoughts. And so stick around for part two of this podcast, The Honeymoon Phase. And as always, you can follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at DTime Podcast, and via email, dtimepodcast@gmail.com. Stick around for part two, The Honeymoon Phase. Peace. Hey, back to D Time, episode 25. I'm here with some dear, dear, dear friends, Craig and Keshia Davidson, to chat about the honeymoon phase. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave.
Thanks for having us, David.
Yes.
So before we dive into the topic, I was hoping we can take a couple minutes just for you guys to introduce yourself to those who are listening. So just share a quick bit about yourself. We'll start with you, Craig.
All right. My name is Craig Davidson, as we had said, and born and raised in Portland, Oregon. We now live in Columbus, Ohio. For me personally, just a diehard sports fan. Love God, love my wife. Just love just going on adventures in life. And, it's been really cool to be able to be a part of a church that we're able to move around and, be here in Columbus. I never thought I would live across the country from where I was from, but I just guess I'm definitely a very simple guy that is easy to get along with. And when you want to talk sports, I'm your guy for sure. So it's a little bit about myself.
How about you, Keshia?
Okay, so my name is Keshia Lathan. No, it's not. Keshia Davidson.
Dang, must be newly married still.
Oh, no.
Yeah, proof that you guys are newlyweds.
Lathan is not my last name anymore. Davidson Keshia Davidson. I am 34 years old. I'll be 35 in January. I'm also from Portland, Oregon, born and raised. Lived there the majority of my life. Moved to LA, and then ended up moving back to Portland. A little bit about me. I love to sing. I love to write. I love to shop. I love to cook. And I'm definitely loving living in Ohio, especially being close to Chicago and Indianapolis and, other places that are really, really close that have really good food. So yeah, I love to eat. And yes, we are still newlyweds and we're having a baby soon. We're expecting a little one, a little boy, April 9th. So yeah, gosh, newlyweds, baby on the way, living in Ohio, really just enjoying life right now. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, we kind of alluded to it on the jump, but yeah, this episode is titled The Honeymoon Phase. And, in the first part, I talked about, I don't know the official measurement of the honeymoon phase, if it's a year, 2 years or whatever, but for you guys, and starting with you, Craig, what, when you hear the word, honeymoon phase, what comes to mind? What do you think of?
Man, I think when I hear that's a good question. I think when, hearing the word honeymoon phase, I really I think of the excitement. Man, just it's almost the uncharted territory, if you will, things that you've never experienced. For Keshia and I, we dated for about 2 years and then we're engaged for almost 2 years, engaged for about 10 months. And, our first kiss was at the altar. So, we got to really come together as a married couple and experience a lot of firsts together. And I feel like the honeymoon phase, when I hear that, it's just experiencing a lot of firsts together, whether that's living together or going, even silly things like going grocery shopping for the first time together as a married couple. There's just an undescribable joy there that I feel that's the honeymoon phase. It's just this new excitement, stuff you've never experienced before. And, I think that it's one of those where you're just constantly smiling. Some people might ask you like, dude, are you okay? Like you just have this glow about you or whatever. And you're just like, yeah, I just got married. It's, I'm in the honeymoon phase, or what you hear people talk about. And I think it's something that, everybody should experience. It's definitely incredible to do, but, I feel like the honeymoon phase, like you said, I mean, everybody's, I guess, different on how they feel, how long it is or whatnot. But I feel, as a married couple before God and man, is we should have the honeymoon phase for our whole marriage. Now, is that hard to do? Yeah. We go through it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later on, different things we go through during marriage. But, I feel with my wife now that we still have that, at different times, and, we're able to really find that joy, that comes from God, number one, and He allows us to have it with each other. So I think for me, just the simplest answer is just excitement. It's new. It's just this adventure that you get to go on, with your best friend. And so I don't know. I think of honeymoon. It just makes me smile even now, just thinking about it. It puts a smile on my face, and I'm just internally grateful to have gone and still be on the honeymoon phase with my wife. So that's what comes to mind when I hear that.
I think for me, he took my answer.
Okay, you can have that. We're united.
So I was going to say the same, kind of, sort of, a little bit. I was going to say a lot of smiling. I literally remember me and Craig in our apartment. I don't remember if this was the first 3 months or 4 months or 5, I don't know. But we were chasing each other around the house, literally, little 5-year-olds, straight up chasing each other around the house. And it was fun. And I really feel like that's a part of the honeymoon phase. It's fun. You're giddy. You're excited. You're, like Craig said, you're smiling. But 2, you're also getting to know each other. So, we had a couple bumps in our honeymoon phase.
Nah.
Yes, we did. We had we have bumps, you know, and we don't call them fights, we call them bumps. But we had a couple bumps, and it's like, you know, in the honeymoon phase, there is that joy and there is that giddiness and that, oh my gosh, we're like 6-year-olds, you know. But two, you're getting to know your partner, you're getting to know your significant other, and so it's like you're getting to know them. You're finding out different little things about them, little quirks, little things they like, things they don't like, you know, things that kind of get under your skin a little bit. So, you know, I feel like it's a mixture. It's a mixture of, I won't say like pain or anything like that, but I do think you're learning some things from your partner, and you're having fun, but you're also learning. I guess you'd call it growing pains in a sense, maybe a little bit, like happy growing pains. I don't know. Sometimes not so happy, but yeah, like, yeah, we had a couple bumps, but two, yeah, it is. That giddiness. You're chasing each other around. You're like Craig said, going on adventures, you know, going grocery shopping, like, I don't know, putting up decorations around the house together, laughing, watching movies. Like, it's fun. But I do feel like we're still in that though. We have our moments, you know, and, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, the honeymoon phase, just learning about each other and, just just enjoying each other and laughing and joking. And I tickle Craig, and he likes when I tickle him.
No, I
Well, he
don't
like
like it.
hates it, but I feel like that's a part of the honeymoon phase. He hates it, but he loves it, so I still do it. So we're still in
Nice.
it. We're still in the honeymoon phase. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's kind of a great lead into the second question. So, for you guys, what's been the most challenging part of of the honeymoon phase of the first year? And then two, a high point as well.
I think, man, the most challenging, the first thing to me that comes to mind is really, man, this might seem complicated answer, but I feel like it's understanding that your spouse is not you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being a man, which I think that all men listening can agree that, we could be very prideful. I don't know why. It's just something that men seem to have is this deep-rooted pride. And I think for me, it was, understanding that my wife doesn't think like me. My wife doesn't act like me, and I can't force her to do that, which I'm thankful for because I don't want to marry myself. You know what I mean? But it was really challenging in different aspects of, maybe say she didn't agree with, we're talking about grocery shopping, going even to the grocery store, and I wanted to get something for us, and no, babe, I don't want that. And I could feel myself going, what do you mean you don't want that? As I want that. And just understanding that we're two totally different people, and being completely okay with that. And, really learning as a husband to, the Bible says to really consider your wife, to consider her, and to really, hear what she wants and what she has to say. Because I'll tell you this, like, a good piece of advice is a lot of times, your wife, man, she's right. I'm just going to put it out there, but there's a lot of times I feel like that choice that she wants for dinner, you end up going, man, that was a great choice. I wouldn't have chose that, but it was awesome. So I think it's been really challenging though, because that's been a few of our bumps is me really, being prideful and wanting things my way and not listening to her side of it or her perspective. And so it causes friction, because I'm trying to dominate and do everything and do it my way. So that was one thing I never expected with marriage, is that even that aspect of it is this person is completely opposite of me. But it's such a good thing at the same time. So I think that has definitely been the most challenging part of this first year. And a high point, man, I mean, the first thing now that is our baby. I mean, being pregnant, a little one on the way, just, I was talking to Keshia today about this, and just, I'm so in love with this child that isn't even in this world yet physically. I mean, this baby's in a womb, and I just have like this desire and I just want to protect this child. And it's like, well, this child's completely protected right now, but I think this pregnancy, just knowing we're going to become parents and, be able to raise this beautiful little boy together. And, it's something that I've always wanted to be a father. And now it's like, man, it's a dream come true. It's truly a blessing. It's so encouraging. and we don't deserve it. You know, I mean, we don't deserve it at all, but yet God's allowing it to happen. So, I mean, that is absolutely to me the high point right now, in our marriage. So.
So,
Yeah. The most challenging part of the first year, I think, gosh, well, I'm an emotional woman. I think a lot of women can relate. And I think just not letting my emotions take over, letting Craig lead and me being, submissive, me like really letting him lead the way. Before I was married, I was super independent, super Keshia can do this. Keshia's got this. Keshia takes care of herself. Keshia makes decisions, and getting married, it's like, no, like your husband is the leader. Your husband, you can give your thoughts, your opinions, but it's your husband that's going to make those final decisions, and just honestly being okay with that, really trusting his decisions, even if he makes a decision and it tanks and it doesn't do well, or it's the wrong decision, or it's bad, or whatever, still being okay and still, being surrendered and submissive to what he decides and what he chooses, really trusting that he means well, like he doesn't mean any harm or ill will intent. And I think really just, building him up, really building him up. I think all men need that. They need for their wives to really build them up, to encourage them, to, remind them how awesome they are and how good that they're doing. In our first year, I didn't really realize Craig needed that. He really needed that from me a lot, and so I've learned now, and I'm still learning, to really be his biggest cheerleader, to be that person that's just going to spur him on, whether it be a new job, whether it be, he's going through a tough time, whatever it may be, but just to be there to encourage him, not discourage him. So I think that was the most challenging part, letting him lead, being submissive, and then also being his biggest cheerleader, despite whatever goes on. And I think the high point, like he said, I think is really, I'll say learning these things and how much peace that I've gotten from, letting him lead, and the joy that comes and the less bumps. Actually, that's been a part of our high point too, is just the peace and the unity that's been created from that. We started reading this book called Boundaries in Marriage, and it's helped a lot, helped us both. Great book. And so that's helped us with our marriage and things like that. But yes, and our baby, I think for me, I'm just elated. I'm grateful, elated, excited. Gosh, we prayed and God answered, and we waited, prayed, God answered, so I think that's been the biggest high point, just expecting. So, yeah.
No, that's great. So, I want to throw something at you guys. I know that, when you just get married, and, there's always, tons of advice that's shared with you by people that are married, and, maybe some people that aren't. But for you guys, say if someone is either just gotten married or about to get married and came to you guys for advice, what are some things that you would share with those people?
Wow.
Oh man, I honestly, I think it kind of goes back to what I talked about with, for me, that was the most challenging, is really learning in the beginning that your spouse is completely different than you. And as a man, being willing to consider her, and really, I would say, go after imitating the good qualities in your wife, because a lot of times God puts the perfect spouse in your life that has the opposite qualities of you. And so it helps to balance you out. And I know, my wife has helped to balance me in so many different areas, but the advice I would give to, about to be married couple or newly wedded is really embracing that. It's okay. And it's a good thing to imitate your wife or your husband, in the areas that they excel in, and it's why God allows us to be together and put us together, I feel. And so I think that, and read that book, Boundaries in Marriage. I would say, hey, you want to get married? Read this book, because
it's
a phenomenal book. We're going to read the one about kids, because it's, it's just been such a healthy book, understanding you can't control your spouse. You can't make them do anything. but you can compare yourself. And so it's really having that heart, to be willing to do that, I think would be the biggest piece of advice I'd give somebody that's about to be married or newly wedded.
Yeah, I think, oh man, well, Craig took mine again. It's cool. I think I would say to just have fun. You know, there was, a sister in Portland, and I remember she would always say, just enjoy the journey, you know, like enjoy the journey. You know, you're going from single to dating to you're about to be married. So like, enjoy it, like enjoy the being engaged, you know, enjoy the planning. And then enjoy your first year. Like, make a lot of memories together. Like, Craig and I, we have a lot of memories. You know, tonight I started pulling out all of our Christmas stuff from last year. You know, and it's just like, wow, remember, you know, this sign that went here. Remember this? We saved everything. It's like just having a lot of memories and photos together. And, you know, I don't know, just praying a lot, you know, pray a lot for your marriage, like pray a lot for your marriage, you know, pray to be the woman that your husband needs, and pray for your husband to be the husband that you need. And just, I honestly just have fun, create a lot of memories together, get a lot of advice, you know, just talk to people, get open, get a lot of advice, get a lot of input. Read books. That book, like he said, has been phenomenal. Even reading that before, there's actually a couple that we know that are starting to read it too. And they're engaged. So I think it helps. It definitely helps, put marriage into perspective. And, you know what I mean? Like you don't know what's going to happen, but it's like, just get excited, get prepared, get ready, get input. But yeah, enjoy it, you know, like enjoy the planning stages, enjoy every single moment, and create lots of memories.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Now, you know, I always like to end these interviews with the same question, and it doesn't have to necessarily do with the topic that we're discussing, but for you guys, what's been the best piece of advice that someone has shared with you? And if there's not a number one, maybe the most recent. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily do with this topic. It can if you want, though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Man, I have to go back to that book, and I think, you know, it's kind of, man, it's encompasses a lot, but I feel like it's, you know, being willing to say you're sorry, and being willing to say, share your heart or your feelings when your wife hurts you. I think that as men, it's very easy to bury your feelings and to not want to deal, you know, because maybe I know for me, the way I grew up, it was, you know, when you cry and do these different things, you're weak. And so I need to realize that, man, my wife will hurt me, but the advice from that book that I got, and from other people that are pretty close in our lives, is be open and honest with how you feel and share that with your wife, because a lot of times she doesn't know how I'm feeling. And, you know, and being willing to apologize, I think, is just having that humble heart and that stance of I'm not trying to be the man that's saying my way is right. I need to be right. I need to get in the last word. I need to do all these things, but it's really to, want to reconcile whatever's happening between my wife. And I think a lot of times as the man, you know, created to be a leader, is to take the high road, you know what I mean? And really set the bar of being open and honest with your feelings and being willing to apologize. I think those two things have completely changed our marriage in this first year, to be a lot smoother. I think we've avoided a lot of bumps we had early on in our marriage, because we're able to do these things now. So I think that's even an answer for best advice, but that's what comes to mind.
Sure. Oh man, gosh, there's been so much. I feel like I've said some of it, but one that comes to mind is like continue to date your spouse. You know, like because things can get busy. You know, like continue to go on dates and continue to you know, continue to go on dates, like continue to, spend that quality time with each other. Cause right, we're getting ready to have a kid, you know, it may change a little bit, I think, you know, but still just making that time, you know, to, date your spouse, to go on dates, to spend that quality time. And I think going back to what I shared earlier, being your spouse's biggest cheerleader, and also this is cliche. I'm pretty sure people have heard this, but not letting the sun go down when you're angry. I think that, like, I really think that, life is like a mist. You have a mist bottle, like a bottle full of water, and you spray it and that mist comes out. Like, that's life, right? So it's like, you don't know what could happen the next morning. You don't know what could happen that night. So it's like, just not letting the sun go down if you're not reconciled, if there's things in your heart, you want to have that peace with your spouse, if anything were to happen, that'd be devastating. So, but yeah, I would say those things: date your spouse, be reconciled before you hit that pillow at night, and just be their biggest cheerleader. You know what I mean? Build them up, build them up, build them up, build them up as much as you can.
No, that's awesome, guys. Well, man, I wish we could spend hours and hours talking about this subject, and you guys dropped a ton of knowledge, so I appreciate it. For those that are listening, if you're maybe getting ready to get married, or you're currently in that early stages of marriage, feel free to share your thoughts, insights, things that have helped you as well. I definitely want to recommend the book that Craig and Keshia mentioned too. This is a great book. I'll put a link in the episode title as well. But Craig, Keshia, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out. You guys are going to be phenomenal parents. Marguerite and I can't wait to see you guys go on this journey, or continue to go on this journey of not only marriage but just being parents. It's going to be awesome to see.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
All right, and for those listening again, you can follow the podcast, D-Time Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram, and on Facebook as well. The Davidsons, thank you guys so much for stopping by and chatting.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
we
anytime.
appreciate you. Anytime. This was awesome.